growing into the most noble human beings we're all called to be during these challenging times of great transition requires all the resources we can find. Towards the end of the year 2020, when we were all dealing with such difficulties, the isolation or the loneliness from COVID lockdowns, sickness, whether that was with yourself or loved ones, financial hardships perhaps, the toxic political atmosphere, the stress of these times, reactivating old fears and traumas. When all of this was starting to weigh too heavily upon me, I would come downstairs to this office, I'd sit at my harmonium and I'd chant. I'd turn my consciousness into prayers and mantras that had been singing me for decades of my life, as a way to nourish myself, as a way to recirculate my own energy in the sounds and the syllables of the divine. It never failed to help me change the channel and access that radiant peace and joy independent of external circumstances. It's always alive at the core of our being. Sages of the world's wisdom traditions have discovered many years ago that precise syllables intoned with sincere devotion induce profoundly positive effects throughout our body, heart, and mind. Mantra literally means tool for the mind, and saying any name of the divine is really like pouring our consciousness through a fine mesh cloth, removing the impurities and returning us back to our divine true nature. So my intention behind creating this album is really to help you return to your divine true nature, help you access the radiant peace and joy of your essence. And so in my experience, each mantra or sacred chant is really literally a living stream of grace. And that's why I've called the album Streams of Grace. Stream of consciousness that transmits a precise medicine, a healing transmission that can uplift you, can nourish and heal you, can help you dissolve dense obstacles on your path, and can ultimately really help carry you home to the supreme reality where all things are resolved. So many wonderful people were involved in creating this album. This really is a sumptuous collection of multi-dimensional, multi-denominational chants and prayers designed to both inspire, delight, and awaken you. These are mantras that have been singing me for decades of my life, and some of them I've shared with students in England and Ireland and Holland and India and America and different parts of the world. And I've noticed they've had important and powerful effects on others that I've shared them with too. Some are inspired by traditional ragas that I've picked up in ashrams and temples over the years, and some have just come to me through my own practice of inner listening over the years. There are Sanskrit mantras from the yogic tradition, 3 of which are specifically evoking aspects of the divine feminine. 2 of the mantras are from the Buddhist tradition, including the beautiful version of the Heart Sutra. There are 3 chants that are in English, including a very special prayer that was written by the great Sufi master Hazrat Inayat Khan. And being someone who led an interfaith seminary for years, I've always been someone who has enjoyed the prayers and the devotional language from all of the great traditions that all bring me into my own heart, and I hope they will for you too. I want to say that it's really rare in my experience that a creative project really exceeds the original vision I had for it. That hasn't happened often, but it was very much the case with this. This album began by laying down some tracks 8 years ago when I was in Holland with Mark Citron, who helped produce my first mantra album. And we started working together again, but doing it virtually. And then we started to see that this project really wanted to go further than was possible to do virtually. And so my dear friend and Emmy Award-winning composer and producer Gary Malkin said, let me help produce this for you. And I was only too honored. And then to step into the studio with not only Gary, but also Ben Leinbach, who is an iconic kirtan producer, has worked with some of the very best kirtan musicians around. We had a just beautiful time working together over the course of pretty much a year. And the whole project from beginning to middle to end has been blessed. So I know that it will be a blessing for you. I want to also say that each mantra features an instrumental solo from renowned and revered musicians, such as Paul McCandless, who plays soprano sax on one of the tracks, Benji Wertheimer, who plays esraj, Manoj, who brings a soaring bansuri flute, David Balakrishnan, who gives a kick-ass violin solo on one of the tracks, and many other musical luminaries who all were so generous and kind and came together to help transport you into the pure realms where we all belong. So this that I'm offering you here on this website is a special collector's edition, and the only place you can get it is directly through me, and it begins with leading you into a short meditative introduction into the essence of each mantra to support you to really understand it, engage with its medicine. So how can you use it? Well, I hope you'll use it every day. I invite you to either sing along to the mantras, and the words are available that come with your purchase, or simply listen and bathe not only in the musical beauty of each track, but also to really consider the possibility that as you listen, as you immerse yourself and engage in the mantra, you are now in the stream of grace that contains the blessings and the spiritual power of all the beings throughout the ages who have immersed themselves and surrendered in that mantra. All that is with you as you open and listen and sing. So I invite you to feel into the presence that flows through the music and to let go into the silence that it leads you into. Most of all, I really hope that you will allow each track on this album to amplify your deepest prayers for yourself, for your loved ones, and our world. I hope you enjoy Streams of Grace.
Sweet.